Hello and welcome in. I am Misskinghorn and we are back here in Planet Zoo and we're in our Red Lane Zoo. And yeah, you would have already seen by now, but if you haven't, we are building a habitat for the Mute Swan. It's a little bit more than a habitat though, I've got to be fair. This, although yes it is a habitat, it also has a bit of a toilet block and we also have a restaurant in here as well. So I was kind of looking at this and I thought we needed another kind of food sort of based area down this area that's sort of that you can go to if maybe you are only sort of coming to this part of the zoo, because we said this the Cream family farm is kind of like semi-separate, so you can just do this part of the zoo without going to the rest of it if you wanted just to have like a kids experience or something, and maybe without going to see all of the other animals. I was going to give it away, but other animals that are coming in the zoo later on, then that's fine, and we are going to build this as having its own separate entrance in the future, so you can just do that in here. But I really want to, so that's why we're putting in a restaurant. We are also going to do like a food, like a burger or something. We'll have other food stalls around as well, but for now this is going to be our only area. And we also needed some toilets down this end, so I have placed one of those in as well, so a little sneak peek of coming in there. But because we are putting in the swans in, I thought we needed a big nice little pond sort of slash lake area in here, so that's what we're currently building up now. So I've lowered it all down, put lots of rocks around the edge, and then we're going to plant all of this up as well. And I'm kind of split this habitat up a little bit, so we're kind of doing like the lake sort of bit, then we go and do the restaurant, then we come back. So follow along with the chapters, or just settle it in, and yeah, let's carry on. So yeah, using lots of sort of reeds and lilies and some of the grasses as well to get all of this sort of looking really good, because I also want it to look a little bit overgrown. Like kind of a lot of our habitats, there are bits that are really overgrown and very kind of natural. I didn't want to make it too fake and too like, or to put everything kind of behind fences. Like if we have a tree, I want it to kind of be natural. Yes, they might peck at it, might be damaged, but it would make kind of sense that it would be in there, rather than kind of just having sort of every all fenced in and stuff. It doesn't look right, at least for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. But anyway, this is where the restaurant is going. So I have actually got the frame in here. I kind of did all this and then it was a very bad frame, so I've basically just cut all of that out of the video. It's pretty simple. It's just these wooden pieces with then a block on the floor, and just to give it some sort of structural integrity. Yeah. In here, and then working out the sizes. This did actually have to become bigger, which is another reason why I'm not showing you all this. But yeah, getting all of these bits down. So this is actually going to be like our floor for all of here. So it kind of looks like you're standing on sort of like decking or something like that in here. And then this sort of triangle action. When I say this restaurant is small, we actually have 4 tables in here. So it is quite a small space, but it's really all we really needed, because I feel like we are going to have other pieces coming down here. It didn't need to be that big in terms of having sort of the number of tables. We do obviously have another big one up by the main entrance, which people obviously use at the moment, but this one is going to have, I think when I was coming in to sort of take all the screenshots and video and stuff, there was a bit of a queue coming out the door, but then there was like one person sitting at a table of like 6. So really, I feel like they could have like maybe stuff to go, kind of like if it's just one person, you can go and find a bench somewhere rather than taking up a table for 6. But anyway, that's my moan of why this is okay to be small. But yeah, just getting it in this nice little triangle area. We have kind of a nice little fencing coming in as well soon into here, and yes. I've named the cygnets, which is obviously the term for a baby swan, so I thought this was quite a nice little nod to the babies. We don't actually have any babies when I did the screenshots and the video at the end, but I think they're coming. I think they were just starting to mate in all of here, so hopefully soon we should have some more in here, but we're not nearly done. I think we've probably got maybe 1, possibly 2 more episodes of like the cream family farm aspect of this zoo, and then we're going to move on to something else. And yeah, once we are all done, I will give a sort of full tour of what we have created so far, so you'll sort of see coming in from like the entrance all the way up to currently where we are. And yeah, we'll sort of see what you all think. If you have any ideas, any suggestions, maybe you'd like to see a different animal in here, then you can let me know down in the comments. It may happen, it may not. We are actually working on off of a sort of real life zoo plan and map, so habitats and kind of like pathing and that, I'm trying to keep them as close to the sort of originals as I can. There's no guarantee it's going to be 100% correct, but I'm doing my best. Into there. So we're putting in the limestone walls, and then we're going to get in the cladding kind of that we used everywhere else as well. And a little bit of sort of work here. I wanted to put some doors in here because it felt like it was such a weird open sort of space. So these are the doors that we used over in the shop, and I've just copied them over into here. And then realised that my archways are way too small, so having to do a little bit of fixing and changing up into here to get this to all work. But yeah, we'll get there eventually into here, and it all works in the end. That's the main important thing. Into here. Alright, and then getting a piece at the top here as well, so that it is all then sealed in, so it's nice and sort of airtight and watertight and stuff in here as well. And then, as I say, getting the cladding. Now the cladding is basically the same as what we've done on the sort of hard shelters and stuff, because I really wanted this whole zoo to sort of look the same and kind of feel like it all fits together into here. Now I do only show you one side of this because it's boring, you've seen it all 100 times before, so I just did this little front section here, and then yeah, move on to the rest of getting this building set up into here. Right, and magic trick, there you go. The whole building is now clad, and then we use these little plaster pieces just to kind of create a nice kind of like block, because I feel like it was a little bit too dark, this building. With using lots of these sort of wooden pieces, it sort of comes across really, really dark, which is not really what I wanted in here. So I did end up changing it and making a sort of, especially around the doorway here, I felt like that was a perfect place for a nice sort of contrast sort of colour coming through. And now let's get on to the sort of roofing. Now this, again, very, very simple, very much in keeping with what we have previously worked on. And then we'll get the little bit of trim coming around here. Now I actually use a font from the workshop. I will put the name and the creator in the description down below for you, so if you do want to check that out, you definitely can do. I think you'll see it in like the screenshots and stuff. I don't actually do it on camera. I had a nightmare with this build, I have to be honest. I kind of had a bit of a mix up, and you may sort of see the end of it in here. There's a little bit of a mix up where it didn't quite go to plan, and I lost all of the water. And do you think for the life of me I could get the water back? No. I must have spent about an hour and a half trying to figure out why my water was not able to go to the right depths that it currently is. Yeah. There's some things in the game that just don't make any sense. In the end, I figured out what it was. I had to move the entire restaurant to another section, like place it down and then put it back again. It works absolutely fine until you try to move the water. Yeah, then it just doesn't work into there. So yeah, anyhow, this is the little toilet building in here, and I'm gonna say it's a hard shelter for the swans. It's not really, it's just a case of there's the keeper gate in there, and a little bit of space for them, but not too much. They're not actually happy with the amount of hard shelter that they've got. I don't know why they need hard shelter. It's one of those things where I'm like, why do you need it? That there is no real need for swans to have a hard shelter, so I kind of just placed this little sort of 4 meter square box in here and kind of thought, well, they can use that. But no, they're not overly happy with it, and I don't think they've ever used it really. I feel like because the keepers sort of come in and sort of deliver their food, they kind of just don't like going in there, and when they sort of place the animals in their boxes, they walk past that, so they're not trapped or anything, and they can actually access this area. They just choose not to. So who knows why, but anyway, it's here. It's a nice little building. It also breaks it all up. And I didn't really know where I was going to put the keeper gate other than here, so that's why this kind of had to go in here where it is, and we'll make it work into there for them. So obviously we do have the toilet, and then we have the other side in there, but I feel like it works like it's maybe it's a disabled toilet or a like parent and changing sort of table sort of space in there, something like that maybe for them, rather than a sort of staff area as well, just to keep it in keeping with sort of like the toilets and stuff, and obviously being a family farm. But yes, now that is all complete, we're on to the fencing. Now this fencing is not up to the size that they really want. I do have escaping off, so they don't actually really require any sort of barrier or any fence at all, but I've gone for this one because I feel like swans, they're wild animals. They kind of they can fly, so they can just like fly out of this habitat, and I didn't really want to do like a big aviary because that didn't really make much sense for them. So I thought if we just put a little fencing, maybe they hop out, go for a wander. Like this area, they're not going to be, there's no dangerous sort of animals that are going to like hurt them or kill them or eat them or anything. So I feel like this was sort of a safe sort of area in here for them. And if they want to walk among the guests or in with a sheep or something, then that's fine. They just know that maybe they have to come back here to get fed, and that's why they like coming back here. I don't know, that's kind of my thought behind why I have done this sort of small fence. And we have used this fence previously, so up by the aviary for the cranes, we actually have a small little pond up there kind of feeding into that habitat, and it has this little sort of a barrier around it, which I thought it worked really well because obviously that's around water, this is around water, and I've tried to make the two look the same and kind of as in keeping as possible. So yes, I've only showed you a little bit of this fencing. This habitat actually is quite big. I think all in all, I think like at least the land is like over 1,000 meters squared, and I think the water is pretty similar as well, but it fits nicely in sort of that oval that we kind of created with all of the habitats around the outside. So it's kind of like the focal point really of this whole sort of area, which I thought was a really nice little area, and obviously nice little cute little swans. Obviously they can be very vicious animals as well, but they're cute and fluffy too. And that's what we're really going for in here. So yes, that's why we have done all of this, and then obviously getting in a little bit more planting in the actual lake, and then working on around the outside to kind of come up with a way to kind of fill this all in. And I wanted it to be quite thick kind of planting, kind of quite heavy in places, and then kind of when it came to like the large sort of open area, I have kind of toned it down a little bit so it's not quite so bad. But I think around the sort of sides of the lake in here where there's not a lot of space, there wasn't really any chance for the animals to like walk along here or any really need for them to, so that's why I've kind of made it a little bit more sort of dense with planting and things like that going into here, but using sort of lots of the kind of native plants and plants that we've used throughout the sort of zoo so far. So obviously there's some plants that the animals don't like, but it all sort of is fine because I've switched all that off because we're in sandbox mode in here. So I have chosen to take that all off in here, but there are lots of sort of bracken, there's lots of brambles that go in, there's lots of lots of planting, lots of grasses, lots of buffalo grasses, lots of blue stems as well, just to try and keep sort of lots of the other habitats from around the area as well, so it all fits in really, really nicely. And I feel like that's going to be the word of the day, that it fits in with the rest of this is just what I really wanted for this whole sort of zoo, to kind of look like it was maybe done at the same time. Maybe we will have some slightly older buildings, maybe we'll have some slightly like brand new kind of ultra modern builds, but I kind of want it to all really fit in at the same sort of time into there, so it works, so that when you're walking around here you kind of can feel like it's all meant to be. It's not come from an older sort of period, because that wouldn't really work for the zoo that I'm trying to create in here. Right. So the Mute Swans are actually listed as being of least concern, whilst their population is actually unknown. So I feel like because they're kind of in lots of different countries, so obviously they were originated from Europe, they've moved over to sort of Asia, and that's over here, and that's where they came with the Eurasian animal pack. They've also sort of been moved, I think, because they're quite glacial, and they're good for like manor houses and estates and things like that. Anyone sort of has a lake or pond or something, they were introduced into America, and then from there they have sort of escaped and have formed a wild populations, and the same within Japan as well. So there are wild populations pretty much all over the northern hemisphere, but we don't actually know how many, which kind of suggests that maybe if we don't know how many, can we really list them as being of least concern? I don't really know. I don't know what criteria it really needs for them to go up to being like near threatened or anything. So yeah, they're listed as being of least concern, but I'm not sure how true that really is in sort of terms of sort of how you can work that all out. But anyway, let's sort of move on into here. So they are actually quite big animals in terms they can actually measure anywhere from 125 to 170 centimeters, which is 49 to 67 inches in length. They are usually pure white, but they can also get pure black species. Okay, so they're actually very territorial animals, especially when it comes to sort of breeding, and they're sort of like when they are building their nests, they do tolerate others being in like around them, as long as they don't sort of interfere too much. So that's why we actually have 6 swans going in here. We have 3 males and 3 females, and we obviously have plenty of space for them, but you'll sort of see that when they sort of like migrate and stuff, they will be in little groups, especially if there is plenty of like food and sort of shelter and space for them, but sometimes you may just find the 2, especially if they are like a breeding pair. They don't tend, they mate for life, but they don't always stick together. I feel like they're kind of, they can have multiple partners throughout their lives, I think is probably the best way to put that. They can be very territorial and mate for life, but there is also sort of somewhere after a few years they might get, should I say, bored, or they move on to another sort of swan, maybe because one of them's died, maybe they're just separated for some reason, and things like that. So there is obviously that option as well. But when they are nesting, they build large mounds within the sort of water's edge, using sort of vegetation and leaves and branches and things like that that they kind of create these little areas in like shallow water or on islands and things like that, sort of semi away from like predators and things like that, so it's a little bit safer for them. But they often sort of go back to the same sort of areas and the same kind of nesting sites year on year to sort of raise their young on, whilst they would then sort of go off and kind of find other places throughout the rest of the year in there. But both the males and the females share the care of the nest and of the young, which I think is really nice. A little bit of co-parenting rather than, I think most sort of animals tend to just leave it all up to the females, where I think if they do sort of co-parent, it's a really nice thing to see in animals into there. But they also feed on a wide range of vegetation, both sort of semi-merged aquatic planting, which they can reach by their necks, but they also eat lots of grasses and things like that, and sort of vegetation in there, including some agricultural crops, so like oil rapeseed and wheat and things like that. So they can be a bit of a pain to farmers around the world. Obviously they can get into a field like that, they can eat their worth in there, which is obviously not good for the farmer, but it's what the animals kind of need and what they sort of want, and if there is not anything else available for them, they can go through there. But into there. But yes, so this habitat is, we're currently working on sort of this large grassy kind of area at this end. Now this is where I've put most, well actually all of their enrichment, because I felt like the animals were going to be in the water most of the time. I really wanted a reason for them to go up into this space, because otherwise it was just going to be an empty sort of space where they wouldn't really go into it. So I put in the forager, I've put in a couple of sort of like dead broken trees. I thought that maybe they could like sort of climb on, they could sort of sit on, things like that, just a little bit of a perch. Really it's just sort of a decorative thing really, because they don't actually use it, but obviously all of the feed is up there and things like that as well. So I really wanted to kind of entice them up this end of their habitat a little bit more in here. I feel like this is one of the kind of habitats where you would have like the feeders, so like you would put in say your 50p or your 20 cents or whatever sort of currency you are going in, and you would get like a handful of like bird seed and stuff, and you can like go in and hand feed these kind of animals. I feel like that would have been a really cool sort of thing for the team to add in, but they haven't, unfortunately. And I didn't make this a walkthrough habitat, so they can only sort of be around on the path on the outside, so they have that sort of space if they wanted to kind of be hidden away in here as well. But yes, we are coming up to the end really of this video. Lots happened in this video, I've got to be honest. It was quite a nice bit build to do, and I've just sort of sat down and put in it. It took a while to build, I've got to be fair, but then obviously I did have that big pause when I tried to get in the forage feeder. I tried to put that in the water and it just did not like it whatsoever. So that's really what cost me about an hour and a half of sort of recording time. But yes, we have got it all in here, it's all in, it's all sorted into there. But if you have enjoyed this video, then please give it a big thumbs up, and you can comment down below what is your favourite thing, what animal do you want to see next. Maybe you can make a prediction and we'll see next time if it is true. But you can also subscribe to my channel, and you can follow me on pretty much all social medias, so whether it be X, Threads, Discord, Instagram, they are all available. I'm on pretty much all of them. As I say, the links are down in the description, and also that of the text that I used in this habitat. But yes, I think for now I shall leave you as we come out to the screenshots. So until next time, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!